We've completed 3 seasons in the Rockies franchise on MLB The Show 21, and today is going to be our 3rd offseason coming off our very first winning season of the franchise, going 84-78. Now, I normally stream all of my off seasons here, but I wasn't able to do so over the weekend and felt like I should just put this together as a normal video and get us to year 4 a bit quicker than waiting to do an off season or something. I like to do them on the weekends, early afternoons, so they're easily accessible. Wasn't an option this past weekend, so I hope you enjoy this version of the off season. It will have live commentary, so it'll have somewhat of a live stream feel, and you'll get my thought process as we go through the process. And I don't think this is the worst off season to have missed doing the stream, because I don't anticipate it being the most active. I don't see us making a lot of signings, a lot of big trades, because I think we've mostly done that to this point, and the core of this rebuild and what I want to do is in place. We've signed 2 big money free agent pitchers, Luis Severino and Andrew Heaney. We brought in Trey Turner on a big 5-year contract, and we're hoping to re-sign players like Brandon Nimmo and find a way to keep the bullpen together. There are a couple key decisions. What happens with Ryan McMahon, who was our hottest hitter at the start of the year, but by the end of the season dropped off considerably, and if you put stock into the WAR metric, they don't even have him as a positive WAR player. To me, that seems a little harsh, but I do agree that he's probably not going to be a player that we should give a ton of money over a long period of time to. I talked at the trade deadline about how signing Bryan Reynolds at the least was an early start on the offseason, and I do think that is correct. He has a year left under contract for next season, team control, and he's probably the kind of player I would have added if this trade was never made. But thankfully it was, as he became one of our most valuable players, and I feel like the offense now is going to have an identity around players like him, Brandon Nimmo, and the Rookie of the Year, David Geronimo. We're really hoping that Trey Turner can pay off this salary. I did not expect this season from him. I know at the end of the year the numbers look all right and very much in line with what he's done in the past, but we know for at least half the season he was not very good and did not bring a lot of value to the team. But his second half was really good, and not even the second half, like the final, like if you were to put this into football terms, like the last 8 minutes of the 4th quarter is where Trey Turner was amazing. He basically 28-3 this season. Hopefully next year it's just more solid all around. Of course, a big part of this rebuild has been the success at pitcher, and I don't think anybody expected us to be able to turn it around as quickly as we have. The moves we've made there have basically all worked, starting with bringing in Andrew Heaney. I forgot here this is playoff stats, but we basically had a top 5 ERA, which is really difficult playing all these games inside of Coors Field. But we brought in, I think, the right kinds of pitchers to try and limit some of the power against us and to actually build up a solid, well-rounded bullpen. Andrew Heaney and Luis Severino have been very good. German Marquez, I'd like to see him stay on the team for a long time, and he's going to be due a contract. And then also, you go to Yonny Chirinos, Rule 5 pickup back in year 2 of the franchise. He has taken hold of that 4th spot in the rotation and doesn't appear to be giving that up anytime soon. So with that being said, I feel like we've made really good progress. Every season has been a step forward for Colorado, but what does this offseason bring? Let's find out and get into it. We have 5 days to tender qualifying offers. We might have some coaches. I forget if I've made many changes there. Oh wow, we had 5 players retired due to ability. All minor leaguers. Nick Longy, 60 overall. Okay, I was playing with him not long ago in the AAA playoffs, so I was surprised to see his name there at first. But mostly low overall players. This happens for a lot of teams. Just 5 is kind of a bit much. So I guess there are some spots available now in the organization. Joey Votto, 57. Man, this is like Madden levels of regression here, where all of a sudden a player loses like 48 attribute points, and you're like, what do I do now? He's not even an NFL caliber player anymore. Miguel Cabrera enters the Hall of Fame, 511 home runs in a 21-year career. So here we are, exclusive free agents, and there are some big names. German Marquez, Robert Stevenson, y'all know I like pitching with him a lot. Taylor Rogers for us last year was solid, 48 saves on 54 save opportunities. Alex Colomé, I think that I wasn't sure if this would work out. I was kind of trusting the ratings here, though, and he put together a really strong season, and I would like to bring him back. Brandon Nimmo, John Gray. Michael Givens, I thought, played really well last year. I know he had picked up that player option for $5 million, and I don't think I was going to re-sign him if he was a free agent coming off of 2022. That had me thinking his game had entirely fallen off. But he rebounded very nicely, only gave up 7 runs in 36 innings. So it's possible he will come back again. I'm going to prioritize Brandon Nimmo and German Marquez. We do have some available budget, and yes, it is $134 million for 2024. And here's the money we already have dedicated to this season. And I don't think any of this is bad money. There are no big bad contracts, and there really aren't that many contracts to begin with. But there will be some arbitration deals that are sizable. Ryan Reynolds, for instance, should have a decent arbitration salary. He played for under $4 million last year, and I have to think that gets a good jump this season, but it's just not time to check on it. And then no staff changes, which is nice. I think we have a good staff, and after a good year, I'd like as little change there as possible. All right, Brandon Nimmo. Looking for $16.6 million a year if we want to go 5 years. I love how dynamic this is too. If you want to go short term, they're going to ask for more money. You can get a little less per year if you stretch it out over the course of a bunch of years. And default here was 5 years for Nimmo. I think I'd like a 4-year deal for him. And then if I give him a player option, that would basically make it a 3-year deal with an opt-out. I'm not sure what it means, like saying his role is everyday versus star, because to me, he's going to have a star role. He's going to bat leadoff and be one of our best players every year. So if we make this 5 years and then front load it, I feel like that might be a pretty good contract. We could then probably reduce this salary a little bit because we've built a pretty good offer here. 5 years, $75 million, I think would be pretty reasonable. Would he take 15 a year, though, on this? What I think is going to happen here is we're going to sign Marquez and then probably have to let Heaney go next season. I just don't know if we have the budget to pay 3 starting pitchers like this. So if they're going to make me choose between Heaney and Marquez, I think I trust Marquez long term. He wants $23.9 million a season, though, and I think he wants to be the ace. And on this team, I mean, Severino is kind of the ace right now. How's everybody's morale here? First of all, Trey Turner's is negative. I don't think it offers really any context, though, as to why. Like, why did they strip down parts of the morale system here that didn't have any problems that I was aware of? Let's see. Severino's really happy. Marquez is super happy as well. Andrew Heaney as well. I don't know why Tuki Toussaint is upset. Interesting here. If we take the years down, his demands go down a little bit instead of up. Maybe assuming there's more like upward potential if he can reset the market within a year or two to make even more money, which could be possible. Now, given his production overall, it does feel like 22 or more is a bit much. Like last year was probably a good year to start asking for this much money, but we've only had this level of play for a single season. His WAR was more than doubled. Making a deal like this is going to make it a lot harder to bring back a player like Taylor Rogers, so we are going to need some cheaper solutions at some spots. But I am okay with a 3-year deal here. And actually, if I make this 1 year, his interest goes up. I think I'll go with either a 1 or a 2-year deal here. What if we go 2 years? Because I don't know if I want him and Heaney to hit free agency at the same time. But at the same time, I don't want to go too long because if he regresses from last year, this salary could look like more of an issue. So these offers are strong, but they're not like guaranteed to be accepted here after like a short time simulating. Robert Stevenson wants pretty good reliever money. He's played really well. Taylor Rogers wants less than him. Really? Alex Colomé wants less. I did not expect Stevenson to demand more, but I guess his overall is higher. So then we have John Gray, and I was wanting to play him as more of a long reliever, and I think I will wait on offering to him. I just don't see other teams giving him what he's looking for, so I think we'll be able to bring him back cheaper later on. And I wonder if that's how I should play it with anybody else, but from what I've seen, relievers eventually get the big offers. Like the Yankees are going to come down and say, here's $12 million a season because we have the unlimited money glitch. So, I mean, those high budget teams are always going to have the ability to sign these pitchers. I think here you have to prioritize Taylor Rogers. His numbers are better. And if you take a look at his contract interest, it's just easier to get a deal done with him. Like Stevenson wants to become the closer. You take away that, drops his interest a little bit. But Taylor Rogers likes the coaching staff, the region, his morale's already good. We'd already be making him the closer and keeping him in that role. No reason to take that away. $6 million a year doesn't seem bad, but that would take him to age 37. There would be some regression. You might not like the last 2 years of that deal. So I think here, 3 years, player option. That player option is always nice for boosting the interest a little bit. I'll make this offer. I'll go up to 6.5. I'd love to bring Stevenson back. I just don't know if it's going to work out. He gets so many strikeouts. I love pitching with him. These K per 9 numbers are so good. Bullpen's going to be a tricky one to balance here because of where the money is at with this team, especially if Nimmo and Marquez accept their deals. You have Givens, Oberg, Gray, Colomé, Stevenson all set to hit free agency. I think I'm going to sim and see a little bit what happens here. Andrew Heaney has decided to decline his option and become a free agent. I didn't realize he had the option now. Wow. So, if we just let Heaney go now, that would make it easier to keep the bullpen together. Wow, Javi Baez just declined his option, by the way, and he's becoming a free agent. But we did re-sign Brandon Nimmo. He accepted the 5-year, $75 million contract. And now if we check out Andrew Heaney, he's only looking for 14.9 or 18.6 on a 1 year. And if I'm going to offer this big deal to Marquez and we can't come to an agreement, I should tender the qualifying offer then. So if he goes somewhere else, we'll get that extra pick. I wouldn't even mind if he just accepted the qualifying offer, but I don't expect him to. I'll increase this offer a little bit and see if he takes it. Checking out Heaney's numbers quick, like the numbers are so similar both years with the Rockies. So if you're wondering if he like regressed at all this year, no. Like his WAR increased, his FIP went down, home run per 9. The numbers are all really similar. Kind of wondering if I should give him the qualifying offer as well. I wouldn't mind 20.2 for him and Marquez. Let's give him the qualifying offer and see where this all goes. I wish I had my arbitration deals done though, because it would make it a lot easier to see what I have left over. Because there are some players, you know, Ty France or Brian Reynolds, and those deals are going to be important to take care of. Don't want to be too careless in this stage. All right, so we have simmed to free agency. German Marquez is a free agent. Robert Stevenson, Taylor Rogers, Julio Urias. All right, so we probably should do the arbitration stuff first, but just a look at free agency for fun. Just for fun. I don't think we can make this happen here. Shohei Ohtani. His pitching numbers haven't been great here in franchise. I'm imagining they haven't really figured out how to do the two-way player stuff properly inside a franchise, because no way he should be performing that bad. Might be like a stamina bug or something like that that causes him to play poorly. But wow, this is a great free agent class. There are stars at every spot you look. But let's take care of our renewable deals and get an idea of what we actually have to spend. We could end up in a spot though where we are looking at a lot of new players getting a chance in the spring. Players like Peter Lambert. I don't think he'll make like the major league rotation, but it is possible he finds his way on to the 40-man, which he already is, to be at spring training. All right, I've offered a contract to almost every player. There were some contract demands that were a little bit higher than what I wanted to do, so I imagine most players will be back. And here is the not so fun part. Ryan McMahon actually has an arbitration year? It was telling me he was a free agent in 24. Okay, well that could change things a little bit. But, I mean, 5.9 just seems like it's not going to happen. Let's start here with Brian Reynolds. What's it going to be? Okay, 5.3. If you take him into his free agency years, then you're going to pay for that, which I'm not totally against either. Like going into that first year of free agency or even the second year. It would end up just being a little bit smaller than the Brandon Nimmo deal. 66 over 4 years. That would be the first 2 years of free agent eligibility. Now, we could go a little bit cheaper if we drop it. And obviously, if you just go with arbitration years only, then it's not going to be too bad. If we do just the 2 years, though, that gives us a little more short-term flexibility. And we might really need that here to fit some other contracts in if we want to be able to maximize what we're doing at pitchers. So that might be the way to go. Sir Anthony Dominguez, he does want a really big deal. And I know that, like, in a lot of the games I played with him, he was all over the place. And yeah, the walk rate was high and has been high. But it looks like overall he put together a really nice season. And I'd still like to keep him on the team, of course. So, okay. When it defaults like these 4 or 5 years, then it's like, all right, this is a little bit much. You have to at least have a conversation about it. But these arbitration deals aren't too big of a deal. I'm giving a lot of these players 2-year deals, but not everybody. I don't want them all to hit free agency at the same time. We'll give Ty France a 1-year offer. Then you have some players who still have a lot to prove, like Austin Gomber, who should get an opportunity this season somewhere in this pitching staff, maybe even as a starter for the first time since year 1. When it comes to McMahon, though, I don't think I even want to go to 5.9. I'll have to see other players sign or whatever happens there, because I just don't feel like 6 is a good number right now. There are some players as well I'm only going to offer arbitration to and not a full contract, trying to get them to come back for a little bit less. So far, haven't offered to Ryan McMahon or Derek Rodriguez. Rodriguez wanted 2.5, and it's not like super unreasonable, but he wasn't even on the Major League roster for most of last year. Chichi Gonzalez previously made $3 million. His demand is actually more per year. I don't think he's coming back then. All right, so I am done here with arbitration then. Gonzalez doesn't have an offer. I did offer arbitration to Daza, but not a contract. Derek Rodriguez, I just feel like the K per 9, the hit per 9 numbers aren't great. Like the break and the stamina, those stand out. I'm just gonna have to wait with him for now, and McMahon. So I suppose we better get the 40-man set up. Don't want to lose Pearson or Vera. We only have 30 players on the 40-man anyway, so there's plenty of room for more players. Might even have to add a Dale Amador. He's one of our best young prospects, and there's plenty of room on this 40-man roster. So a lot of new players will get invites then to spring training, which should be a lot of fun. I might put Connor Blair on there. I just want to see if I have to make many more signings for this roster first. But okay, when it comes to free agency, I'm not going to be in on the big name players as much. I have $84 million right now in pending offers. I'm not sure if that includes qualifying offers. I want to say that's just the actual offers there. Our pending offers don't show like Andrew Heaney's qualifying offer being made. But Heaney is under so many pitchers here. I wonder how much interest he's going to get. And he may end up taking that qualifying offer. I think I'm okay simulating the first day of free agency, though. Matt Chapman is on his way to Tampa. 9 years, $237 million to a team that has plenty of infielders in this series. They've made moves for like Bobby Witt and have Wander Franco, but they're still adding infielders for $250 million. Matt Olson is going to the Marlins. So the A's are going to need some money ball here pretty soon to get this team back on track. That's not a good start to free agency for them. Shohei Ohtani will not be leaving the Angels. They have agreed to a 7-year contract. Blake Snell has some interest from Houston. There are some offers out there, but free agency is moving really slowly so far. Yasmani Grandal is going to the Twins for a season. And I noticed I forgot to offer Chirinos arbitration. I've taken care of that now. And there you go. The big offers are out now to Robert Stevenson. Like 50 over 5. Like LA is way over the Cubs and the Cardinals right now. And I just don't think we can compete with that. I wouldn't mind having Colomé return, though. He does have his first offer, so I would need to boost this a little bit, but we can top the Phillies. Robert Stevenson takes the deal with the Cardinals, though. He just turned down like an extra $15 million. I don't know why, but we're not going to see him quite as much then with him going to St. Louis instead. Unfortunately, I really liked pitching with him. The Marlins are actually spending money in free agency. They brought in Matt Olson. Now they signed Josh Hader. Jesse Winker is going to the Orioles. Liam Hendricks was like the highest rated player who didn't get the qualifying offer, and so the A's do make a move. It didn't show us there in the announcements, but German Marquez and Taylor Rogers have agreed to their deals. Those are big. We also got Brian Reynolds and Ty France under contract. We avoid arbitration there. No one's showing any interest yet in Kyle Hendricks, and he's not a flashy pitcher. He's not going to be the most entertaining, but he's effective, and I think he's a good fit for playing in Coors, and we basically have Yanni Chirinos playing his role. If no one's going to show any interest, oh, this is still way too much. Way too much. Never mind. Some of these players just want way too much. Like, what about Dallas Keuchel in like a long relief role or something? Like, I just think these demands are way off. Lucas Giolito is going to the Giants. That's a 5-year, $93 million contract. I don't know if I'm playing it too safe here. Like, I know we've been a little bit closer to our budget in past seasons. We only have 30 million right now in pending, but 73 in budget. And that 30 obviously doesn't include Heaney's qualifying offer. Or actually, it would, because we have Marquez signed now, and Rogers. So our only offers out there now should be that qualifying offer, because Colomé has accepted. I think we assume Heaney comes back. We're still looking for someone to take that 5th spot. Could it be Touki Toussaint or Austin Gomber? Maybe. But we need more relievers. Especially in like the mid-70s overall, I tend to prefer players that I at least know in the series. I've always been kind of like that with more middle-of-the-road players. Like, sometimes a player's weakness will become an issue, but I think it's easier to deal with when you know those players, as opposed to finding new players in that range and then figuring out where the problems are. Heaney has decided to decline the qualifying offer and remain a free agent. I'm really surprised by that, as the Giants now bring in Jack Flaherty, so him and Giolito are coming to the team. Wait, that's it? 58 over 5 for Rafael Devers? That does not seem like much at all. Some players don't get high offers. They're kind of getting lowballed. Adalberto Mondesi, the hitting ratings just aren't there. 87 overall. Yeah, the ratings for him, very similar to like Byron Buxton here in the series, where defense and speed are so elite, his overall goes way up, but the hitting ratings do not match. But still, 10 a year seems pretty fair to me. And then with Devers, we have all these offers that are very lukewarm. So that's why he hasn't signed yet. I mean, we might have to get into this conversation here. Like, if I just offer like 2 years, 14 million, we're already like way higher than those teams. This would be basically like doing the Baez deal over again, but I think with considerable more upside. If we drop it to 2 years, 23 million, we're still like a mile ahead of Cincinnati with the offer. This might be more of an exciting offseason than I thought. I'm going to sim forward a day. Last day for arbitration. I'm happy with what we've done to this point. Tyler Molly's going to the Rays. Javi Baez signs a 6-year deal with St. Louis. So he did not end up staying in LA after all. I thought they would easily get a deal done. Nothing new here with us other than Ryan McMahon now becoming a free agent. Still got the best offer on Devers, although the Twins have entered the conversation. Still not giving as good of an offer as we are. And then I guess we're back to Andrew Heaney, who doesn't have any interested teams yet. I'll give him a $16 million offer. I gave an offer to Scott Oberg, and the White Sox just topped us there. Ratings are so similar to Brandon Workman. Let me just give him a similar offer and see where this goes. As long as last year wasn't terrible. And that's why you double check. Never mind. Let's just increase the offer for Oberg. Feel like an offer to Alex Reyes wouldn't be bad either. A lot of these ratings really stand out. You just got to worry about the walks. The numbers for him, though, last few years, not too stable. Walk numbers, way too high. Never mind. Andrew Heaney is no longer interested in the Rockies' offer. Tyler Glasnow is going to the Angels. Why does he just say he's not interested? Like, you're a free agent. Aren't you just considering everything? Okay. Red Sox have offered him more than the qualifying offer. He might actually come out ahead here. But do we want to get more aggressive then? If we have the money for this year, we need 2 starting pitchers right now. Like, we have to do something. Rogers, Givens, Colomé, Dominguez, Gomber, Toussaint. Bullpen probably needs 1 more pitcher. I don't think they simulate too well with 8 as far as giving everybody innings. Let's give John Gray a small offer here as well. Man, I just want you to pitch out of the bullpen. It's fine. It's a good role. I know we're kind of all over the place here, but there's a lot of things going on here. If you make this 2-year offer, we come in better than the Red Sox. I'd be okay with a 2-year deal like that. Wow, we got the deal done here with Devers. Whoa, 2 years, $23 million is all it took. And we just dramatically upgraded the offense with a proven player. Wow. Welcome to Colorado, Rafi Devers. I don't know what teams were thinking not giving him better offers. I mean, he just had a contract year where he hit 41 homers, a career high, 130 runs batted in, 281 average, his best in a couple of years. I mean, he did everything you're supposed to do in a contract year, but didn't really cash in. You'd think his contract would be double this. It should be like 24 a year. I didn't think we'd have much to talk about this offseason, but there is something to talk about. Welcome, Rafi Devers. Watch out for this offense. And we still have available budget. Although only $7 million in pending offers. Andrew Heaney signed his deal. I wish they just give you notifications on everybody you offered to, and then the highlights around the league would be a lot more organized to me. Wow. There's still money out there, too. I could have brought back Stevenson, but I just didn't know what the situation was going to be and kind of got a little scared. But so far, I'm really happy with how this is playing out. We have 4 returning starters, a lot of familiar faces in the bullpen, and then the only change for the starting lineup is adding an all-star, Rafael Devers. So he becomes the third baseman, obviously. Ty France, he could play first. Devers could also handle first, and France has a little bit better defense. I think we can still try to target a reliever. There are some high-rated options here. Jordan Hicks, Jose Alvarado. For closers, you go up to the high 70s, where Kenley Jansen has regressed a bit. Although he's coming off a really good season where he pitched over 100 innings. The issue is he wants $13 million, and that's not going to be happening here. Jordan Hicks is coming off a down season. 2 of the last 3 haven't been very good. Alvarado has been much more consistent, so if we're to offer to anybody, it's probably him. Also, could use another lefty, so I think I want to make this happen here. I can't promise the closing role, though. 1 year, 10 mil, just to blow these teams away, pretty much. Maybe we can go down to like 9. Well, that's with closer, though. I will need to sign a catcher at some point, but that's going to be for AAA. I can probably wait a while. Maybe we bring in Buster Posey, whose ratings are really down. Jose Alvarado does sign with the Rockies, so we could have made a deal with Robert Stevenson, but Alvarado is 2 overall higher. It's a 1-year deal for $9 million. The offseason has felt a little bit messy, but I think it's coming together nicely. Still have an opening here for a starter, and I might not even be in a hurry to fix that. Maybe we try to make a trade if nothing happens in spring, or wait to see if somebody can actually take that spot during the spring. Like I said, Toussaint and Gomber would each have that opportunity. There's also the Rule 5 draft, and that's not a bad spot to try and find a 5th starter or a long reliever. So if we check out our budget now, we still have $18 million available. I do have at least one pending offer to John Gray. Still not entirely sure about it. I still think, though, in a long relief role, I think you would get a good year from him. I'll bump it up $500,000 here. That might be enough to get it done. Kyle Hendricks ends up getting what he was looking for, and that'll happen here late in free agency. Ooh, Mondesi goes to the Reds, who one-upped the Royals by about $8 million. And we did get John Gray under contract for $6 million, so that gives us even more competition here for the 5th spot. But we can basically be done here, especially at pitcher. For the lineup now, you wouldn't be seeing a lot of change, just basically swapping out Ryan McMahon for Rafael Devers. I still think that leaves us with a fairly weak bench. Do we have an outfielder here that we'd love to have get some playing time? Probably not. Down at AAA here, we do have Daza under contract. Did not have a good season last year. Casey Golden. There is Connor Joe as well. And I want him at the major league level anyway. And now our 40-man roster has 39 players, so there isn't a lot of room unless I waive somebody. And I wouldn't mind waiving Antonio Santos from the 40-man, just to give us an extra spot there for the Rule 5 draft. Maybe even Borenstein. I think I'm okay leaving 2 spots open on the 40-man. Like, I'm not going to draft 2 players. Well, I might draft 2 players, but I don't need to draft 3. I won't waive Borenstein because he legit might be the best bench outfielder. We don't know yet. Jacob Pearson may get an opportunity, but with the momentum he got last year, plus 10 power versus lefties, I mean, you probably want him playing a bit more at AAA as opposed to just getting bench playing time here and there. I think this is going extremely well today. Rule 5 draft is coming up now. The free agent period is slowing down. And now it's time for the greatest event of the offseason, everybody. The Rule 5 draft. That's a pretty good deal there for Jordan Hicks. And we select 22nd. That's a long wait. But here are all the players who have been taken. Nobody from our organization. Wouldn't expect it to happen. Here are the starting pitcher options, and it might be worth just seeing if someone here could take a role in spring training. You just have a lot of players to sort through. For reliever, I mean, Doris Valdez in my Rule 5 rebuild had some success. There are a lot of names I recognize from the Rule 5 rebuild. Nice year to add a backup catcher as well, but I think I'm okay with our current situation. I'm not totally decided yet on if Schaefer starts in spring training to at least get a look or what, because I feel like his hitting needs more time. If you watched his AAA at-bats at the end of the season last year, I think he needs another half year to a full season. If we go to the outfield, we have some options here in the low 70s. And then Dom Thompson Williams. He would be intriguing. Especially because he's actually a really good defender. I think he's the exact kind of player we would need coming off the bench. Plus defense, speed, contact, a little bit of power. I'm not worried about if he can go lefty power. He has contact. We're drafting Dom Thompson Williams, 22nd overall. The only question now is, do we add another pitcher or try to figure it out with who we have? It feels like most of the options here are more soft throwers who get a lot of ground balls, and that's fine. But I do feel like we can probably figure this out with who we have right now. I think that might be the only move we make here. Why is Tolia available? He shouldn't have been. Didn't tell me that he was even Rule 5 eligible. But here it says he is. Alright, hopefully nobody notices then. I'm done with the Rule 5 draft. It's over. And we still have Michael Tolia, thankfully. So, next up is just the arbitration hearings. Starling Marte signs a deal with the Rays. Them and the Marlins have spent a ton of money this year. I'm surprised, though, we didn't get more from, like, the Yankees or the Cubs or the Dodgers, but I think they spent most of their money on players that were already in the organization. So arbitration hearings are happening, and ours just haven't happened yet. They're not all on one day or anything, which is an interesting touch here in the series. And they sided with Jonathan Daza in that arbitration hearing. I'd only offered like $600K, so good win for him. And I think that's all for the offseason then. That feels like a very successful offseason. I mean, we added Rafael Devers, kept Brandon Nimmo, got Brian Reynolds under contract for a few years. On top of that, we haven't lost much. Our big loss was Robert Stevenson. And that's really it. And I'm sure somebody signed Ryan McMahon, but we got Rafael Devers. I think we're fine. Oh, we're going to see him, though. He did end up signing with the San Francisco Giants. Probably was a little weird for a player like him to reach free agency like that, but I just didn't think $6 million was a good deal, but the Giants have no problem going with that as an average. So we ended up spending most of our budget. We still have $11 million in available salary, so free agency would give us a chance to do something. You know, if we wanted to sign Josh Donaldson or another pitcher. Oh, wait a minute. I double-clicked on accident there. I did not mean to actually offer to Dallas Keuchel. I wanted to see what he wanted. I just gave him a 2-year deal. Are you kidding me? I accidentally offered him that contract. The offer came down nicely, but 2 years? Just trying to move too quickly here. Hey, maybe it works out, though. Let's go a little bit slower now as I try to find a catcher for the AAA team. Lorenzo Quintana. We'll sign him. All in all, great offseason outside of accidentally giving Dallas Keuchel $9.2 million over 2 years. But maybe the deal will work out. I don't know. His numbers are mostly good, just last year was a steeper drop-off for him. It wasn't with more home runs, although a slightly higher home run rate. And his strikeouts are completely off the cliff here, like he's just not striking anybody out. 2 of our 4 highest overall players were just signed this year. Moves I didn't think we could make. I just felt like we'd be way too strapped. But we had the money to bring in Devers, Alvarado. It was easier with not signing Robert Stevenson or Ryan McMahon. I feel like I made mostly good moves outside of that one for Dallas Keuchel. So what did you think of the offseason? Let me know down below, but I'm excited to get into this regular season. We'll get to the spring training first, though. I do plan on doing some streams of that this week. But the team just continues to get better and better, and there's no reason to think that progress should be stopped this year. There's a lot to like with this team, and so much has changed. If you go back to the very beginning of the franchise, only 2 players right here in the starting lineup were actually in the organization, Brendan Rodgers and catcher Dom Nunez. I've had to change so much because players that I felt like were building blocks ended up not being. Garrett Hampson, Ryan McMahon, CJ Cron, and others. So a lot of moves have been made, and I feel like our AAA team is stacked and has a chance to bring in a lot of players to supplement the roster in the future. So I think I'm really pleased with this offseason. I think the big question marks now are in our bullpen because we did lose Robert Stevenson, and I think that we're going to be asking a lot of pitchers that maybe haven't proven a lot yet in series. What do we have this year in John Gray, Touki Toussaint, Austin Gomber, and Dallas Keuchel? I guess we'll find out. But leave your thoughts down below. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this offseason, and subscribe to the channel with more Rockies franchise to come. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.